That is, it is recorded through camera. It is a recording of moving images, and it is recorded for the purpose of public viewing. That is, it will be screened for public. There are a few more such definitions, like a film, also called a movie or motion picture, is a series of still images which, when shown on a screen, creates the illusion of moving images due to the uh, PHI phenomena. A film is created by photographing actual scenes with a motion picture camera. So you have a specific type of camera which captures the motion picture. And when it is presented on screen through a particular type of projector, okay, we feel that all those pictures, because they are going so fast, that they are not pictures, but they are a kind of moving things. Okay, so cinema or film is created in this very simple way. So here we talk about these definition that we have seen. The definition emphasizes on few important aspects. The first, the name is based on the medium through which it is recorded. That is uh, the kind of motion picture camera. So this will help us in giving the name. Okay. We are using a specific type of instrument to create the film, and film itself is the word that we use for uh, the kind of uh, plastic kind of paper on which those images are recorded. Second aspect is there's a set of moving images. Okay. So it's not one image or it's not movement, but there is a set of moving images, and the way they are projected on screen, that creates the illusion of movement. The third aspect is there is a narrative in terms of moving images. You are not simply saying moving images, but with that set of moving images, you are also experiencing a narrative. Like in our previous class, that is yesterday, yes, yeah, yesterday, uh, when we were talking about various forms of narratives, that movies become important uh, because of the way they are structured. The narrativity of the films play a very important part, and the narrativity is what makes movie a movie. Movie is basically a short form of moving images, but it becomes a film or it becomes a cinema when there is the narrativity, there is some story that we as an audience can identify with. The next aspect, it is made to publicize. And this is one of the most important aspects, because from the very beginning and the conception of cinema as a form, as a medium, the idea of commercialization, idea of selling it or screening it was there. So even when it was a very short film of some minutes, it was used for commercial public viewing. And because people saw the kind of what we call material benefit, they venture into creating studios, and they develop the theaters, studios, and then make they made the movies and screened them, and they earned from them. So this publicization, or uh, putting it on exhibition for the public viewing on a commercial basis, was there from the very beginning of cinema. Then there will be another medium of its visualization. So there is one medium of its recording, there will be another medium of is projection. So having studio is not enough. Okay. You also require a theater. And the most powerful people in the film industry today, not only in India but also in the world, they own both these things. They have their studios and they have their theaters. For example, Reliance Group. And Reliance is one of the production houses. You, when you watch a movie, you can check that. Okay, that the certain company, which is a branch of Reliance or a sub company of Reliance, which is producing the movie. Then there are certain companies which are again sub branches of Reliance, which are the sponsors of the movies. And then those movies are screened in the what we call different uh, multi-screen theaters, and those theaters are part of the malls. The malls are owned by Reliance. They also owned by the theaters. So to control the cinema as a form, you need to control both the studio and the theaters. And that's why uh, some of the best directors, they did not work with the studios, because studios will limit their expression. Okay.
Exactly, sir. Even sir, this Anurag Kashyap made the whole movie on an iPhone, sir. This Udan movie, sir.
Yes. So,
He
and
didn't need a studio, sir.
there are plenty of such experimentation, because they want to remove that concept of authority on expression. Okay. So, but this is a fact that in order to have a successful uh, film, you need to have at least two mediums, one for recording, another for its projection. And then the last one, recorded also implies a particular point of view or point of view of representation. So if you see there, recorded by a camera, the definition says recorded by a camera, but camera doesn't record itself. Camera requires an agency, a person who has a free will. Camera doesn't have. And that means camera is an instrument of recording. The agency of recording is somebody else, which also says that whatever is recorded, it is recorded from the perspective of one particular person. It may or may not be neutral. If I am recording something, I am recording it from my perspective. I cannot give a complete picture of that thing. I am only giving a picture from my perspective, one side of the story. So, however neutral it may be, it will always be one side. So, the very idea of perspective is inbuilt in the idea of cinema, because it is recorded by some physical agency. And studio is also an important agency which will limit your perspectives. There are plenty of films which were being stopped or which were stopped because the studios found that these films may not be or might not be a commercial success, or it may affect their image, and that's why they stopped budgeting that film. So this is also an agency. Okay. See, I'm making this distinction between film and cinema. Right now, I'm not going into the technical details, especially the ideological aspect, which is proposed by uh, Christian Metz in his book called Semiotics of Cinema. Right now, I'm concentrating on the word cinema. So, at the inception, the first two versions of the film camera, which are the kinetograph and its European counterpart, the cinematograph, were used to record daily events, such as a train arriving at a station or an elephant being electrocuted. So the European counterpart became more famous, and the word cinema that we see today is a clipped version of the word cinematograph, the word used for camera, the type of camera which was used to record moving images. We use many such words which are clipped, that is, the actual word is lengthy and you shorten it to create another word. Cinema is one of those words. Now, such recordings, when there were recordings of the actual events, they were called actualities or realias. And they were hardly 1 or 2 minutes long, not very long, only 1 2 minutes long. But they were predecessors of modern day documentaries. In documentaries, we try to cover the real life. They are lengthier than what we call today, what was called actualities or realias in that time. And because people were interested in these kind of actualities and people were paying to see those 1 or 2 minutes long videos, the possibility of cinema as an industry and a future of cinema as a commercially successful art form was possible. People could know from the success of actualities that if we refine this medium, we can make it a very, what we call, commercially very, very successful medium. So the word cinema is a shorter form of cinematography. We still use cinematography for a technical purpose, how something is presented on screen. So the inclusion of graphy clearly indicates the agency. Someone is there who does this graphic work, that is, who is writing. The word graphy means to write, and which means there has to be someone who writes, there has to be a writer. This name suggests the active involvement of the people in creating a text and giving meaning to the structure. It is not random. There are plenty of people involved. They make some important decisions at different stages of making a cinema. So the final output that we see in theater or on television, that is basically a result of the uh, decisions taken by those people, and those decisions were taken consciously. And that's why we talk about agency. The concept of agency, that someone is doing it, it is not happening automatically, is very important from the theoretical perspective. The word cinema also implies the film industry. So, this is where the Christian Med's idea of cinema comes, which we will deal with later. And the art or technique of making movies. So, cinema gradually took the larger form, it has expanded its meaning. So it is not just simply about one particular video form, but it's about the industry at large. It's about the socio-political practices and the art of making movies. So how cinema is born? So world's first movie was made by Louis and Augustus Lumiere in France. These are the Lumiere brothers, Louis and Augustus. And it was screened at Café La Grande, Paris, on 28 December 1892. I am doubtful about this particular date. So before you write this date anywhere, please recheck, because as long as I know, it's 1895 and not 92. Lumiere brothers captured the events which occurred around and projected the reality on screen. They did not create a script, they did not create a story, they did not find out the actors. They simply recorded the things happening around them. And that was the first actualities presented in Paris. They developed an equipment which was built on the principles of still photography, the normal photography that we do. So it is made from that same principle, but it could capture moving images. It could capture the movement in the images. And it was called cinematograph. Arrival of train in a station, a naughty boy with a gardener, and workers coming out of a factory are some of the noted works and earlier movies made by Lumiere brothers. These actualities are available on YouTube. So you can simply search on YouTube and watch them. They are hardly 2-3 minutes long. But this is what they recorded and shown to the people. But it was such a craze at the time that people were ready to see that, even for such a small time of, let's say, 2-3 minutes. Because seeing something on screen was something new for them. Now it is not new for us. And that's why our understanding of cinema is very different from what was the understanding of cinema before 100 years. That's why the theorists working at that time, they were more concerned about the form of cinema, how cinema can become more and more powerful. While for us in today's theory, people were more concerned about the content. They try to work upon the concept of interpretation. So somewhere we have started believing that the form of cinema is complete in itself. Though there are people who experiment, especially with the idea of narrativity,